But we're not talking about sensory issues today.
No, this is a momisode.
Cool.
And we'd mentioned it somewhere around our diet episodes back in May.
Oh, I'm Garrett.
Oh, I'm Katie.
This is bar is ankle high.
Yes.
As we just completely rolled into it, forgot we were doing.
To be fair, we had a solid 50-minute warm-up downstairs.
We did.
And, but yeah, so I don't think we have any housekeeping. As a reminder, while Garrett's on maternity leave, our Patreon has ad-free episodes for Anklet and Limbo Champion members. So if you don't want to listen to ads, by all means, you just have to pay us. So go to Patreon.
It's like a hostage negotiation.
Yes. We still gotta keep the lights on somehow, sort of.
Which we also just had a conversation about downstairs.
We did. And so anyway, you can go to patreon.com/thebarsankle-high and join as an Anklet or Limbo champion to get access to ad-free episodes. So, jumping in, as I was saying, this is something that we had briefly mentioned, but something that neither of us had done. I tried it for 2 days, less than a week. And it's called 75 Hard.
I've heard of it, but I've never. I was completely dissuaded by the name. Oh, that sounds unpleasant. No, thank you.
No, it's just a gangbang, actually. And it's for a workout. No, I'm kidding.
I thought this was fully like running a train where you didn't know the meaning, and I was like, she can't possibly not know the meaning of it.
No, I know what that is.
Ooh, I just got real concerned that we were going to have to pause the recording.
What business situations has Katie said gangbang?
And that was also a thought. I was like, oh no. Writing a letter to the IRS. This is like a gangbang.
I've never been gangbanged so hard in an end-of-year meeting. These quarterly reports are gangbanging.
Oh my god. I almost died. Oh.
No.
So
but
it is not 75 days of gangbangs.
I don't think so. I don't know that would count as like an exercise, technically.
I definitely feel like it would.
I would personally count it as that, but I'm chubby. So
yeah, it just seems like that would be a lot of work.
I think so. But I don't know that that's what he had in mind. So 75 Hard, so you've heard of it, you've seen it on social media or whatever?
Yeah, at one point when I was more in the weight loss social media circles, I feel like I was following somebody that would regularly do 75 Hard.
Yeah, so this was actually invented in 2019 by...
Oh, that's recent. Mm-hmm. That's super new.
By Andy Frisella. He's the CEO of the workout supplement company called First Form, PHORM.
Okay, so the person that I was following that would do the 75 Hard also went and was doing that First Form. So that totally, I didn't realize they were linked. That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a whole website for this at andyfrisella.com if you really want to follow along.
I don't know why I hate when somebody has a website.
It is the most... It's a wild thing because it's I guess I've seen this kind of thing, especially in the supplement sort of world where it's we're not selling anything. And it's just you're scrolling forever on this page that's extremely basic,
Right, and it's just word soup.
Yes.
All these inspirational buzzwords that you're just
Yes, different sized fonts, but all the same font. And anyway, so it's just a white screen with black...
sunset pictures.
No, none of that. It's just a white screen with black and red text. It's very bare bones,
yeah.
Original internet, when we were writing HTML script and all that shit.
God.
So anyway... His website calls 75 Hard, quote, not a fitness program in all caps, and instead labels it a, quote, transformative mental toughness program.
I hate
unquote.
that. I hate that, for starters.
The website also calls this program, quote, an Ironman for your brain.
Also hate that.
His website lists various scenarios in fragmented sentences and leads that into stating he knows exactly how shitty and unaccomplished you feel, because he used to feel that way too.
Rude.
And
Fucking rude.
concludes, quote, the real problem I had was a lack of mental toughness and discipline, unquote. Then he says, quote, if you don't know who I am, my name is Andy Frisella. I'm an entrepreneur and I've built multiple companies from 0 to 9 figures.
I hate that too when people are like, I've multiple companies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, that just sounds like you did something for 6 months and it wasn't successful, so you closed it and you started another one.
He's saying that he did it, like, he still built them up to be, like, 9-figure
I'm rolling my eyes.
Companies.
What's this guy's name so I can look at him and hate him while you're talking about him?
Andy Frisella, Frisella. To his credit, though, on his website, he does have photos of his own physical transformation where he is shirtless, if that's your thing. Underneath these photos, however, he writes, quote, the mental changes are 100 times greater than the physical changes, which is for sure a measurable thing, 100 times better than the physical changes. And he also promises on his website, 75 Hard is the only program that can permanently change your life, which I feel like the promise of a permanent change is,
I mean, this is all real
shady
lofty.
as fuck.
You know, it's calm down, sir.
So,
ew. There's just like a picture of him. He kind of looks like I'm trying to think how to describe him. Like, I feel like if I saw this guy and I didn't know what he did, he would be like a UFC fighter or like in that like fighty realm, like a jujitsu, something like that. But he has like a dress shirt on with a vest, like a formal vest, and the dress shirt has very big collars. And I just...
So he's a child wearing his dad's dress shirt.
Kind of, yeah. I just hate it. But anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, the program itself, this 75 Hard program, requires that for 75 consecutive days, you must do 5 things without fail. Number 1, follow a diet. It can be any diet of your choosing, but it must be a structured eating plan with the goal of the diet being physical improvement. So they don't like flat out say like it needs to be a weight loss diet, but
I mean, they're implying it.
Yeah.
Dancing around.
Also, no alcohol is allowed and no meals outside your chosen diet are allowed. So you don't get a quote unquote cheat day.
Just rolling my eyes. Yeah.
Number 2, you have to complete 2 45-minute workouts every single day, one of which must be outdoors. Number 3, you have to take a progress picture every day.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
That's a huge part of this.
That's bad advice.
Number 4, you have to drink 1 gallon of water. Also a crazy requirement.
Yeah, I used to hold myself to that, and wow, it's bad. Not great.
And 5, you have to read 10 pages of a book. Any book can count, but it cannot be an audiobook. However, I read a Women's Health magazine article about this that said it had to be an inspirational nonfiction book. Like, blow me either way. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you want me to spend an hour and a half every day exercising. 50% of that has to be outdoors. Plus, I have to follow a diet, which presumably requires meal planning. And if I'm not meal prepping, I'm at least spending a good amount of my time planning and making those meals.
Right.
Drinking a gallon of water and going to the bathroom every 35 minutes.
Yes.
And taking a progress picture every single day. Whether I choose to post that to social media or not, I think there's a heavy incentive to do that if you're in this, and you're also, if you're, either in an eating disorder or on the cusp of developing one.
Well, this is like...
So then to say, like, it can't be an audiobook, like, what difference does it make?
There's two things. I'm surprised it doesn't involve daily weigh-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised, but I feel like with progress pictures, you're kind of opening the door to, like, you're kind of encouraging that type of behavior.
Yes.
Where you're looking for basically a metric every day, which is, like, bad news.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly setting yourself up for failure. And then also, I'm surprised that there's not, like, a fucking, like, get up and journal for an hour every morning. Which, no.
That's a good point. I would imagine the progress picture is like an internal journaling, because then you get to look at that and the pictures from the day before and the week before, and think about how much better or how similar you look to when you started and feel a certain type of way about yourself.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be I would it would be more reasonable to me, not that any of this is like reasonable, but day 1, halfway and end.
Mm-hmm.
Not every day.
Every day.
That's wild.
So also, no alterations to the program are allowed. If you miss any of the goals of the 5 requirements on any day, you must start over at day 1.
It's like hopscotch. What was that? Hopscotch or something, where you'd have to go back to the beginning. There's some stupid game when you're little where you have to go back to. That's what it makes me think of. It's just like so.
According to Frisella, quote, you will be tempted to try to change things a little to suit you and your, quote, special lifestyle. But that right there is the root of every problem in your life.
So extreme.
Oh, I know. It's insane. Like, it is, like, so culty.
Yes.
So if you manage to complete this program, the website promises improvements in your confidence, self-esteem, perseverance, self-worth, self-belief, fortitude, and grittiness.
Ew, I don't want to be
in
gritty.
all caps. Also, self-esteem, self-worth, and self-belief, I think, are all the same.
Pretty much, yeah.
Also, they're the same as confidence,
Pretty
which is
much.
the first thing that they say.
Yeah.
Additionally,
it's just like word soup. It's just buzzword soup.
Mm-hmm. And according to Frisella, you'll read at least 750 pages, find yourself in a dietary routine, remain well hydrated, and be able to see any physical results through a catalog of daily progress photos. However, dietitians and other trained experts have criticized the program for its rigidity as promoting an unhealthy relationship with your body, your food, and workout routines, which can ultimately lead to disordered eating problems.
But you're weak. That's the problem.
You just don't have the mental toughness.
Oh my God, mental toughness.
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, when I think of like heavy restriction and like what we were taught is anorexia as like that version of restricted eating, I just think there's no way I have the discipline for that.
No.
Like, and I've always thought that, which is also how you can end up with an eating disorder without thinking you have one, because you're like, well, I don't have discipline.
Right. I was just talking to the doula that we have about that. I was like, I haven't had an eating disorder, I said, but I've definitely had periods of my life where I was displaying disordered eating behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know, obviously like a discussion of weight right now, being pregnant, I was like, that's not something I'm looking to start back up.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And that, I mean, that is a program literally set to like super highway someone to a really serious problem.
And as somebody who used to take progress pictures, really not often. Like I was doing them like once a month when I had started Weight Watchers back in like 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was doing them like once a year, more or less. And even that, like, if the lighting isn't identical, if the mirror is different that you're using, if the pose is different, it was like, it was just so easy to sit there and like zoom as far in as possible and
set
look
yourself
for the
into a
differences.
tailspin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I just think about that and I'm like, man, there's some like really frightening. Or like, what happens if, you know, you're going out for a run every day? Because I feel like if you're saying like that, if you're doing this program, your attitude is not, okay, well, I worked out really hard yesterday, so I'm going to go lighter today and I'm going to go for a walk. Like, what happens if you twist your ankle, you're out for a week, and then you have to start over?
So when I like first read about it, when I attempted it, I didn't look at his website. I was reading something else somewhere. But my understanding also from when I quote unquote attempted this was that both workouts had to be different. So I couldn't walk inside on a treadmill and then walk outside.
I would also interpret that as like they have to be different workouts.
Yeah. Which is super fucking intimidating
if
you don't have access to a gym or alternatively you don't have a safe place to work out outside.
Yes.
If you live in an area that, you know, when you're especially in the winter, it gets dark so fucking early, like walking in the dark or doing anything in the dark outside is risky. It's fucking risky.
Yeah, I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's really not safe.
No. We yelled at Jamie for that.
Yeah, I mean, between the risk of injuring yourself, because you're oftentimes, like, I would be running on ice with, like, you know, those yak track things on my shoes, but, like, the risk of hurting yourself and also that it gets dark so early. It's not safe.
Yeah. So anyway, I read a Forbes article where PhD Sarah Happenen, I think it's like a Dutch name because it's like her first name is Saara and her last name is Haapanen. So like the double A's, I feel like is like a Dutch thing or
European.
yeah, like
Germanic.
yeah, like Flemish or something. Anyway, all of
just
our
got shit from my spouse.
all of our Danish listeners have tuned out,
rolling their eyes at us. My spouse just was giving us shit like a half hour ago that we just go off the rails sometimes. We're like, oh, I know, because I edit it, and we start cackling like, what do you mean? Cut to us going off the rails. Anyway.
So anyway, Dr. Happenen noted that the All or Nothing program doesn't actually teach you any skills to help deal with slip-ups or teach you any sustainable behaviors. For example, you have a wedding reception to attend during your 75 hard period. Are you supposed to skip that celebration because the meal that's offered and available doesn't fit within your quote-unquote diet that you're doing? Even if you forego the open bar, the food options can be super limited if you're required to stick to a specific schedule and workout schedule. Never mind if you have to travel to the wedding and like your whole situation is weird.
You had to drive. Failure. Now you have to start.
Well, and it's like, I'm in a new city. I don't know where is safe to walk outside. So where can I go work out outside?
You can't use that hotel gym because that's inside. Mm-hmm. It's just absurd.
Right.
It's so dumb.
And whether you can call dancing all night a workout within the meaning of the program isn't clear.
Probably not.
And so, like, you can't call sex a workout, I think, probably.
But a gangbang, definitely.
The program requiring an outdoor workout, like I said, it also doesn't account for people who physically cannot exercise outdoor due to safety concerns or their work schedule, or who live in a place where outdoor activity is limited for part of the year, like when it's ice.
Yeah. Or it's like 97 degrees outside and it's dangerous to be working out outside.
Yes, like I am certain I was like on the cusp of a heat stroke last weekend when I was outside like in the garden and not really doing much. Like I was
You don't have, and that's the thing, you don't have to be.
No, like I raked I was out there for maybe 30 minutes and I came inside and I was like, I feel fucking dizzy. Yeah. Like I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And it was really just hot and I wasn't dehydrated and malnourished at that point. Like there was, not that I'm malnourished now, but like there was nothing else going on to
It's not like a blood sugar issue or something like that. Yeah, no, it's it's really dangerous. And I mean, we were talking about that in the diet episode. I was saying it wasn't until last summer that I gave myself permission to use hydration, those liquid IV packets to restore electrolytes because the amount, and I remember talking to my mom about it, who's a nurse, who was like, yeah, water's not enough. She was like, sometimes you need to have a little bit more.
That's why especially in the summer when I'm golfing, which is for sure a holdover from disordered eating habits, but I was like, I can't have Gatorade. There's too many calories in that. Yeah, there's too many calories.
Too sugary.
And in the summer, I'm like, yeah, just give me the red fucking Gatorade, okay? Yeah. For God's sakes, I'm out here for 4 hours roasting in the sun, pushing a golf cart and golfing.
Right,
and walking
the amount
3.5 miles.
The effort that your body is putting in just to keep yourself from overheating. Mm-hmm. Your body's working so hard just to maintain, let alone to exert yourself beyond that.
Right. Having a 120 calorie beverage is not the reason I'm overweight that day.
And it's ultimately it comes down to nutritionally, is this boost of electrolytes going to help me and my body be safe in this kind of temperature? So yeah, it's definitely you hear that and you're like, wow, this is so.
What was that?
That was a spider.
You flicked it on me, you asshole. I'm
so sorry. I don't know what to do with it.
What the hell?
Oh my God, where'd it come from? I was seeing.
Garrett's the friend that would trip you so she can run away from the serial killer chasing you through a field. Remember when we gave those bear tips?
Oh my God. I can't believe that was recorded. Just in the middle of talking, and a spider just landed on my... It came out of nowhere.
The fucker came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't even know where it came from. Ugh! It was crawling on my leg.
Ew.
I'm really glad I had leggings and not shorts on.
Yeah.
Because I would have somehow handled that worse than I did.
What? You did so good.
You were so calm and composed. I don't know what you're talking about. You definitely didn't overreact and fucking flick a spider. And then poor Katie's like, what is that? As I flicked the spider accidentally directly at her. So, now we don't know where it is, and it's not dead, and I should have just killed it. But I panicked. So
taking 2 slices of banana bread later.
Who needs 75 hard when you can have a spider land on you at an unexpected time?
Okay. But
it was horrible.
Yeah, like, so this program
it's just so overly simplified. It's like
it is. And
absurd.
The PhD, Dr. Happinen that I mentioned before, she also noted that there's no scientific research to support that program. Frisella said the length of the program was chosen by instinct, which is the most white guy shit I've ever heard in my life.
Truly. Like, why do you have this level of confidence?
Seriously. Like, the sign in my studio at home is, like, hold yourself with the mediocre...
Oh, I have it on a mug.
Carry yourself with the confidence of a mediocre white man. That is for sure. Like, but you know what? He's done this program, which has given him confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, self-belief.
And I've started 40 companies that have made $10 bazillion. I hate him.
Brooke Cavala, a certified prenatal and postnatal exercise specialist and personal trainer, was interviewed by Forbes in that article and noted that programs like 75 Hard and other like blank day challenges, like those like 30-day squat challenges you see on Facebook or whatever, usually around New Year's, typically use weight loss and lifestyle habits that are not sustainable and in some cases completely unhealthy. She also noted that programs like 75 Hard with a specific end date can lead to yo-yo dieting, poor self-esteem, discouragement, body image issues, and even disordered eating habits when the program cannot be maintained as a complete lifestyle change. Other experts that were interviewed by Forbes noted that the program is probably best for people who are already active, but the list of daily activities can be super daunting for people who are just getting into fitness.
Yeah.
Which is where I was coming at it from, where I was like, oh, this is like a structured thing. It'll give me like some sort of structure to like do stuff. But then I was like, an hour and a half a day when I'm not working out to begin with, really, like 45 minutes even of yoga or Pilates is a lot to do on top of a 45-minute walk. Like, I just don't own that much workout clothing. Because for me to fit that into my schedule, I would need to do one of those workouts before work and one after work.
Yeah.
So that's 2 outfits plus the outfit I'm wearing to work. And at the time, I was living in my apartment. I did not have laundry in my apartment.
Yeah.
So, like, I only just got caught up in laundry since moving to a place with in-unit laundry.
It's like if you break down every bit of this, it's illogical.
Yeah. It's very, it's that same thing, like, if it matters, you'll find a reason. If it doesn't, you'll find an excuse, or whatever that bullshit line is.
Yeah, it's just, it's the reason why, all of these, like, overly simplified diets, like, oh, you just eliminate this. Mm-hmm. Or you just don't eat bread.
Right.
And then everything will be fine.
Just have no happiness in your life. And
that's why, like, when I was, like, in that kind of, that area of focus, and people were pushing, like,
I can't believe you flicked a spider.
I know, I keep, like, checking to make sure it's not, like, back for more. I'm, like, so nervous. I'm so sorry I flicked
I'm so glad that was recorded.
That was fucking wild. That's gonna have to be in the reflection of the year.
Sorry. You were in this space.
Yeah. Oh, and people were pushing like, what is that? It's like one of those, not isogenics, but it's, starts with an A.
Advocare?
Yes. Pushing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to somebody, like, I'm not going to be doing these supplements when I'm 70.
I knew a girl
why
in
am I incorporating
law school who, a different girl than the one with the sensory thing, who did Advocare a lot with her boyfriend, and she was starving all the time. She was never not hungry. And she was like cute. Like there was nothing
Like,
to
why are you doing
me
this
about her
yourself?
body that was like, oh, you definitely need to lose weight, girl.
Right.
Like your doctor's going to tell you you're about to have a heart attack. Not at all. Like maybe she had extra 15 pounds, which, excuse me, we're in law school. Of course you have a little bit extra weight.
Right.
You're
And
fucking
also, like,
stressed and we
life.
have no time.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was wild. And no, she
Like,
she
the
did it
BMI
all the
charts are
time.
nonsense.
And I guess like at the time I had never really done a protein shake thing. So when she kept saying shake, I was kind of picturing like
A milkshake is what I would be thinking of.
no, I guess because she said she was always hungry because like if I have a milkshake, I'm not hungry afterwards.
I'm not hungry for
So
like a
I was
week.
picturing like something kind of watery, I guess, like oh, it's the greens shake. So I'm thinking like I don't know, like
Blech.
yeah, like it's just even
Yeah.
with like when I was drinking protein shakes, I would have Greek yogurt in it and almond milk
Yeah.
plus the
Fruit,
protein.
yeah.
And even that though, I still had a dinner on top of that
Yep.
because I, was also starving myself at the time. But I didn't know that.
Yes. Nope.
But
Somehow had no idea.
yeah. But yeah, no, those Advocare shakes, like, and there was just something about, I don't know what it was, like, I was just picturing, like, some very, like, Doctor Who, like, tablet that you just, like, mix with water, and it looks clear,
Like
but
those shrinky dink things where you put them
Yes.
in water overnight and then they turn into like an alligator.
right, like, once you drink it, then you feel full because
Yes.
it's expanded in your stomach or
Yes.
something. But yeah, so it was just, like...
And
yeah.
reality is probably just like mostly chemicals.
Well, and I mean, that's what, Herbalife, that's
Right.
like their bragging line is that like we can tell you exactly the farm that XYZ thing from your shake came from, and which is, I mean, fully made up. There's no reason that they would have that information
Right.
actually. I'm sure potentially they could have that available, but it's also
Probably
a huge
not.
company and they can make it up. Like who's checking?
Right. I mean,
So-
you have to think about the fact that like when there's a produce recall, the amount of tracking that has to go in for these companies to find where like the lettuce came from is
Yeah.
takes ages.
Let
It's
alone like the lettuce that gets dried and then pulverized and
Totally.
put into this little tube of stuff that you mix with water.
it's just like
So,
absurd. Just like anything, ultimately, like anything where you're not eating food is just not sustainable in any way. So like this, like
so don't choose that as your diet if you're going to do 75 hard.
don't. Because like
My thought
apparently
was
you have to do
always,
this
like,
forever.
I had a relative who was like really into juicing, and basically all the food that they would eat with their partner
I did juicing for a
was
while.
juiced. And I remember asking their father at one point, because they live pretty far away, and I was like, wouldn't your teeth fall out if you don't chew stuff? Like that happens with like cats and dogs. If they're not given like hard kibble,
Yeah.
it can make their teeth fall out.
What?
Yeah, because the muscles, like the tissue around the teeth gets weak
No shit.
and the teeth can fall out. Now, granted, I'm not a veterinarian. I could have just heard this once,
Are
but
you a fox doctor though?
no. That's you. But
That's nightmare fuel. By
so
the way.
like I like remember just asking their father this, and I was like, but like if you don't use your teeth to chew, would they just like kind of fall out from disuse? And he like looked at me and he was like, well, I don't know, but now I have to ask. And I was like,
He's like, well, thank you for that intrusive thought.
basically. ADD Katie strikes again.
I will say, there is nothing more just like when you juice fresh oranges that are cold, that like frothy
With
fresh
champagne?
orange juice. I don't like those together.
Oh man. You know who would run a train on some mimosas is PK. He
So-
flat out
so would
asked
my
me the other
spouse.
day. He was like, "So can we do like breakfast this weekend, and I was like with mimosas, and I was like, yeah, sure, like we should pick up like some bacon and have bacon and eggs. And he goes, no, I was thinking like go out to breakfast, and I was like, okay, well you need to phrase that differently because I misunderstood what you were saying.
I don't want to make the mimosa.
Yeah, which is like I'll make a mimosa all day. I'll have a whole pitcher of mimosas.
I mean, of easy drinks to make. That's up there.
Yeah.
No, I don't like mixing the orange juice with the champagne.
I don't mind it.
The only time I really like orange juice is when it's like fresh orange juice.
Oh, I love all orange juice. I don't discriminate. In fact, I love almost all like full 100% fruit juices. Are
you pulp or no pulp?
I don't mind pulp.
I love pulp.
Yeah, I don't like extra pulp, but
I'll take all the pulp. I will chew my orange juice. Only if it's fresh though.
Just so your teeth don't fall out.
Yes, I have to save my teeth.
So
horrible. That is so horrible.
How's that for a second?
I already have nightmares all the time about my teeth, so now that's gonna get added on. Like my teeth are falling out, or I like chew something and they all break off, or like I can't close my mouth around my teeth because they're so big and I'm like drooling. Yeah. I have a lot of
you dream that you are Sloth from the Goonies?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you go.
And I'm always running late, and I'm always dressed inappropriately, and right before I get there, I get mud on whatever I'm wearing. All the time. I have that dream all the time. Doesn't matter where I'm going. It's usually a wedding.
I mean, honestly, the Zoloft was the right choice, because that's a lot of anxiety.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all anxiety. Hurricanes. A lot of dreams about hurricanes and zombies.
I dream about not hurricanes so much, but like tornadoes picking me up, and then like I land somewhere and I have to like find my people.
Yeah.
And like dodge the hurricane. But I have like that feeling of like getting flung around in the air and then like landing.
Yeah.
I'll have that dream every once in a while.
I don't know if I've had a tornado dream. Hurricane, like floods, things like that, like water. I dream about like things like that. Water surges.
Yeah. Anyway, it's rainy today.
And your teeth are going to fall out. How do you feel about that? Toothless in a flood.
So Women's Health Magazine had a staff member, Priyanka Joshi, actually attempt 75 hard with supervision from doctors and nutritionists. This article I've linked in the show notes, but Joshi first notes that 3 benefits to the program: it could help you develop healthy habits, improve fitness levels, and it's customizable in that you choose a diet and exercises that suit you.
I mean, it's like customizable, but like
not
completely
really
inflexible.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they're making it sound like custom. You know that I know that word. I just can't say it.
Customization?
Means, yeah, that's like.
Well, it's sort of like like okay, in the early 2000s, you can walk into Abercrombie and get whatever you want. You're still going to walk out looking like everybody else who shopped at Abercrombie, even if your shirt is blue and everybody else got the red shirt.
Right.
Like, it's still the same fucking shirt. Like, so to the extent that you can customize your style, it's extremely limited within that house that you're...
Well, and I feel like there's like barriers to entry. It's not like you can just start doing this, because you have to have a whole fucking plan, because you can't miss a day or you have to start over.
Yeah, which is for 2.5 months, for 75 days, which is like, a long time.
I mean, you basically have to have a detailed workout plan.
And I would say you need to be in a really... If this is going to work and not harm you mentally, emotionally, physically, you also need to be in a really healthy headspace where if stress comes up, it doesn't phase you. If like you're like the guy in Office Space when he's hypnotized and can't get out of it, like you just have to be like so even keeled that like nothing matters. Because all I can think is like in the past 2.5 months, how many different things have each of us had where it's been like it popped up out of fucking nowhere and we had to deal with it. And like those days, like whether I'm eating the way I'm supposed to as often as I'm supposed to, exercising the way I'm supposed to, like, whatever it is, taking a fucking picture of myself, which is, like, insane that if you don't take a picture of yourself one day, you have to start over at day one. Like, consider that is the, like, or if you fall asleep on page 9 of your 10 pages. Yeah, crazy.
It's just absurd. It's
So,
just, like, so extreme.
Anyway, however, in addition to noting those things, she also notes that the risks, as far as the risks are concerned, her first criticism was the lack of scientific evidence for how the program can actually develop or improve your mental toughness. For example, the water rule, a gallon or approximately 4.5 liters per day, can be too much for many people, and how much water you need depends on so many factors like how much you sweat or exercise or what you eat that day, at the climate where you live, or even if you're breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Or pregnant. Like, you have to drink way more water if you're...
And I don't. Because I'm bad at it.
We have to trick her into it like she's a horse.
Yes. I put, not to, like, be the derailing person, but I put lime and mint in my water the other day and have been carrying it around and sipping it and refilling it. And my spouse took a sip of my water not knowing that there was something in it. And he was like, what the fuck was it? He was so upset because he just, like, wasn't expecting it. And it just made me laugh. I laughed for like 10 minutes after that. It was just so funny. He was like, that was so jarring. I wasn't expecting that. You're welcome.
The second criticism she has is that the challenge can put you at risk of injury because there are absolutely no rest days. Like, even P90X has rest days built in.
Every plan has rest days. Mm-hmm. If you're training for a marathon, there's rest days.
Yeah. And she also notes that because the fitness rule is open to interpretation, it's very easy to go overboard with exercise and aim for routines that are unsafe, especially if you are in recovery with an eating disorder or you struggle with fanatical commitment to things in general. Like, maybe if you have ADHD hyperfixation issues.
Yeah, and you get, like, really into something and super strict with a really hard time forgiving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw yourself into it and hurt yourself because you're overdoing it and you're not being logical about it.
Her third criticism is that the challenge can harm your relationship with food. Although you can pick any eating plan to do for this program, there's no allowance for cheat days or eating anything that's not on plan, forcing you to restart and, quote, lose your progress for any perceived misstep, which isn't a misstep, that's just living life. Any perceived misstep that isn't a misstep, it's just life that like comes up. Experts in this article noted that this extreme compliance aspect of the program can cause people to drastically reduce their calorie intake or cut out entire food groups, when coupled with 90 minutes of exercise a day can really, really hurt you. Finally, the fourth criticism was that your mental health can suffer. The challenge allegedly is supposed to increase your mental fortitude, so if you can't complete the challenge, you can very easily start feeling super fucking shitty about yourself.
Because it literally blames it on you.
Yes.
If you have to start over.
Right. And thus, contrary to the promises on Priscilla's website, you will not have increased self-worth and self-esteem, but just the opposite, especially because of the daily progress pictures. So, like, and I think also, especially for women, you know, if you're taking daily photos, so many different things, like your hormonal cycle, like if you're PMSing that week, if you're bloating, if you're on your period, they can make you look bigger than you feel and bigger than you are, just because like that's where you are that day.
I also am like dead the day before and the first day. I'm not exercising for an hour and a half a day. I'm like hardly functional.
Yeah, and if you search the hashtag on social media, like the 75 hard hashtag on social media, like there's no requirement that you post these photos or that you take these photos in like super tight clothes or in your underwear every day. That's definitely what everybody's posting their photos to look like, which
this shit would not exist without social media.
No.
75 hard.
It wouldn't.
And I feel like he literally wrote this to be shared in an infographic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the pictures I saw looked like, the before and afters, looked like advertisements for like beach body workouts.
Yes, that's exactly what it looked like when I was scrolling through.
Mm-hmm. So that Priyanka Joshi's takeaway from trying the program was that the exercise was too much of a good thing is still bad. she was developing tendon pain and exhaustion from daily workouts, and eventually gave herself one rest day a week, and was still physically spent when she tried that. Her second conclusion was that diets don't work. She decided to cut out dairy for the challenge period, because she didn't feel good when she ate dairy in general. So she was like, okay, that'll be my diet. Like, I should probably eat less dairy. But said that she struggled when going out to eat with her boyfriend because they like to go to restaurants on the weekend and she likes pizza. Quote, this next part is all from the article. She said, come week 4, I could not stop thinking about sweet food. I tried to satisfy my cravings with 85% dark chocolate, but it definitely didn't cut the mustard, which is for sure a fart euphemism, right? Like beefing? Cut the mustard?
Cut the cheese.
I've heard cut the mustard too.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard cut the mustard the way she's using
I don't know why you would need to cut mustard.
Right.
I guess unless it's the plant. So, 85% dark chocolate did not cut the mustard. As soon as the challenge came to an end, I went overboard with all the foods I had denied myself. This is to be expected, says somebody. Well, it says Evans, but I don't remember if that's the nutritional person. Having food that's off limits can often make you crave it more and more, and you're likely to overeat those foods once you're given the opportunity. Joshi noted that cutting out alcohol was fine, and she was able to find alcohol-free alternatives, like episode 42.
If you have the Guinness that doesn't have alcohol in it, and it has exploded on you, which it turns out the reaction to that is very similar to the reaction of a spider unexpectedly being on my leg.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Same leg, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So she found that she was able to find alcohol-free alternatives, so she was still able to socialize with her friends on the weekends, and noted that she was sleeping better and had more energy during the day. So check out episodes 16 and 17 for our sleep stuff that talks about alcohol.
Yeah. We talked about it in our depression episodes too. Well, the first one, I think.
Yeah. And finally, she said, you have to figure out what works for you. Noting that daily photos were extremely triggering for her, she cut them out after week 1, and that exercising for 90 minutes a day was unreasonable, and she didn't drink the gallon of water per day, averaging around half of that, quote, required amount.
Yeah.
In conclusion, she doesn't recommend the challenge. She quit on day 50, noting that the mental stress of trying to complete the tasks each day was taking its toll on her mentally, and therefore it was not worth it to continue. Healthline.com noted that Andy Frisella is not a fitness coach, scientist, or actual expert in anything related to health and fitness. He's a businessman.
Period.
Yeah. He's a businessman, and he runs various supplement companies, but he's not a supplement developer or scientist. And let's consider the financial benefit to him of getting people on board with extreme lifestyle restriction and heavy workout routines when you sell pre-workout supplements. Again, in the U.S., the entire supplement industry is unregulated, from your daily multivitamin to your pre-workout and protein shakes. Protein shakes are not classified as dietary supplements in the U.S. and therefore not subject to regulation by the FDA.
I didn't know that.
Me neither. Horrifying.
Yeah. Yep. Sure is.
Overall, the consensus from experts is that the rules of the program are too vague and arbitrary to properly consider the fitness levels of every person attempting it, and the long-term results are elusive because there's a very specific end date. And as the women's health journalist Priyanka Joshi noted, she binged all of her forbidden foods extra hard once she gave up on the program.
Yeah, I mean, even when she was doing the program, she wasn't really doing it.
Right. Yeah, she had to and that was with guidance from nutritionists and doctors, monitoring her to make sure that she was doing okay.
Which nobody does.
No.
Every program, it's oh, talk to your doctor before you... I've never talked to my doctor before I've started,
No.
this running schedule that I have, or, whatever it is,
And I would imagine that if you brought 75 Hard to your doctor and you were like, hey, I want to try this program, what do you think? Am I cleared? They would say, please don't do this.
This is extreme.
Right, what do you do now? Are you already working out for...
An hour and a half.
Right.
2 workouts a day?
It's insane. If you were already at an hour a day and you wanted to add 30 minutes of something else, fine. But he's requiring that they have to be 2 separate 45-minute workouts. So you can't even like split that up theoretically in a way that works for you. You
Or if
can't
you were like,
you can't take 3 15-minute walks during the day at work
right,
as your outdoor portion of exercise
right.
and then do yoga inside at home afterwards. Like that doesn't count. So it's just like
Or
it's just wild.
or if you were like a big runner and you went out in the morning and you felt great, so instead of doing 45 minutes, you did an hour and a half and went home, you would then have to do 45 minutes
of something indoors, yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah.
And the indoor, it's just like every bit of it is just.
And again, like you said, this wouldn't exist without social media. And I think when you're in those circles, if that's your feed anyway, is all these people doing this, you see what people post on social media, which can be face-tuned to shit.
Yep.
And photoshopped, but also they're only showing you their successes, you know, or they'll post, you know, some word soup. Oh, I failed 75 hard, but I'm still proud and I'm still happy and this is what I gained and da 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 da. And then you have to read all these different books and like, yeah, reading is great, but you know what? Some people have dyslexia and need audiobooks. And somehow they're not
Some people have
qualified for this.
ADHD and they have a hard time sitting down and reading, but they can do okay with an audiobook.
Yeah. And I can do an audiobook while I'm outside on a walk.
Yep.
And like learn something and, you know.
That doesn't count because you didn't read the pages.
And it's not nonfiction.
Oh my
so,
God.
You know, God forbid I just like have somebody reading the dictionary to me and like.
I feel like the guy that I was following, it was literally reading like the Bible every day.
Oh, fuck me.
I know, like I roll. And it was all like very Christian. This actually
that
makes
tracks though. That's very puritanical.
Yes. But yeah, I did not know anything about it. I know like all the stuff that was shared, it looked very like kind of militant, which is like not my speed.
Yeah, no. Attempting that for me is really when I started to like come to terms with the fact that where I am now, however I got here, I really just can't do self-imposed restriction like that. It like fucks with my head so badly now that like I will immediately doom spiral. I can feel like the dangerous type of hyperfocus or hyperfixation. Like I can feel it happening. And so it's just that thing where I'm like, I'm not doing this because it's almost like that like paralysis feeling where I'm like, I can't do this. And then I think about how, oh, I don't have the mental fortitude and I guess I'm just shitty and blah, blah, blah.
Which is everything this program is telling you if you trip up with one of the stupid 5 fucking rules.
And even when I did it, it was like drink a gallon of water a day. And I was like, well, I have a 32-ounce water bottle and I fill it up several times. So like close enough. Like I'm not going to sit here and like tally it. But yeah, I mean, and even like those like MyFitnessPal or other like food journal apps or websites, they like prompt you to keep track of all these different things. Keep track of how many minutes you walked or how many steps and link your Apple Watch or your Fitbit to it. And, you know, so you end up with all of these measurements of how you're doing. And I go through phases with my Apple Watch, like whether I wear it or not. But it's that thing where it's like, if I find myself constantly checking it, then I stop wearing it for a while because it's not worth it to me to feel badly because I didn't get up that hour to walk 250 steps. And the reason I didn't get up is because I'm working and like I'm just working and I'm doing my fucking job and I'm doing it well, but I don't need to get up. I don't have to pee. I don't have to do anything. And like, why would I get up if I don't have to just because my watch tells me to? But like you end up in this cycle that's really not healthy.
And those apps will prompt you. When was the last time you weighed in? It's been a while since you've weighed in. It's time for, and then they want you to post a fucking picture to go along with it. So no, it totally like, that lends itself, this lends itself to like all of the, that's why it's a super highway to like disordered behavior.
Especially if like they're saying like, well, you kind of need to already have some level of physical fitness to be even kind of going after this in any way that would be helpful to you. And if you're already physically fit, if you're already active, and then you go into this, it's like the bullet train to disordered eating land. Like, it's
Yeah.
just frightening. And it's just one of those things where, like, I'm so glad that we didn't have social media until our brains were developed.
Yeah.
Because, wow, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
And actually, Dove has an ad campaign now. Have you seen the ad?
No.
I'll play it for you afterwards. But it was like a long form ad, and it just follows this girl, and it's talking about like how social media hurts children and their body image. But it follows this girl, and she's just like young and like 8 years old and like climbing on stuff and proud and goofy and all these home videos. And she gets her first cell phone, and then she's constantly on her phone, and then she's like
have seen this.
measuring her like shows a clip of a video saying thigh gaps are in. So then she's measuring her thighs, which are like probably as thick as my bicep right now, and it like goes through this whole thing. And then they show all these different young women and men who are in recovery from eating disorders. And it's just like such a poignant message. And yes, there are criticisms of Dove's campaign. I get it. But it is one of those things where it was just devastating to see as somebody who doesn't have children and
watch
certainly
it devolve.
Right.
Yeah. And
to watch, because they had clips of like her parents trying to get the phone away from her and trying to get her to like disengage from that content, and they couldn't get through to her, and she was hospitalized. She was in an inpatient facility, on a locked floor, because she was really, really, really sick.
I saw a thing where there's a bunch of kids who are opting in for like flip phones now.
What?
For flip phones instead of smartphones.
I thought you said flip funds, like a diet bet, and I was like, what the fuck is a flip fund? Like, oh no.
Are dolphins involved? But they're doing that instead of smartphones, so they can still have like, because I feel like everything's built from like a safety aspect. So so you can call me if you need me, which is valid. But all of the backsliding that can happen and like kind of the dangerous mental health impacts of having a smartphone. So there was a group of teenagers that had opted for flip phones instead of a smartphone. They were talking about like why because they had smartphones and they got rid of them and went back to like a flip phone. Yeah, it was really interesting. Maybe it was a New York Times article. I don't remember what I was reading. But there was like a whole group of them. And they were just saying how like they were so glad they did it, like how their relationship with their parents was better and with each other. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, no, there's for sure a temptation for me. I just rely on my GPS way too much. I need my phone.
Yeah. And gifts. I can't communicate myself without gifts. So
it's true. Yeah, 98% of my communication is texting. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely, especially for kids. I mean, if there's GPS in it and I can still track you, yeah, get a flip phone.
Yeah. Well, that was good. It was some good 75 hard and some discussion of diet bets and some scary stuff that goes with social media and these types of trend.
And spiders.
Headlines. And there was even a cameo.
This episode had everything.
A scream, a flick, a spider.
That thing where you drink so much water that you piss your pants.
Oh, that was so horrible. And it's funny because like we're sitting here and both of us keep just like
I know. It's like that when somebody starts talking about like head lice and you're like suddenly just scratchy everywhere.
I keep like touching the back of my neck to make sure I don't have one like on the back of my neck. So we're both totally fine.
Yeah, we're not deranged at all.
No. So tune in next week.
Yeah, we'll have another episode about something I can't remember.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as I said before, if you want an ad-free episode during Garrett's maternity leave, ad-free episodes will be available to all of our Anklets and Limbo Champion subscribers on Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/thebarsanklehigh to join our Patreon. There's a bunch of other benefits too that are outlined there as well. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at @thebarsanklehigh. I almost never use the 75 hard hashtag except for this episode.
Almost never.
And you can go to bit.ly/anklehighmerch to check out our merch if you want any swag with our bird faces on them or whatever.
I love those.
I forgot about the bird sonas.
I do periodically. I'm like, oh, that's right. They're so great.
And share us with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hop on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and like write out a review, because it just gives us more traction and gets us in front of more people. And that just helps us out, because we like being an independent podcast, but we need people to listen to us.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
No. Because the bars ain't Clyde.
Yeah. Bye.